Fall is in the air here at Camp Griddlemore, and fall is absolutely my favorite season for camping. It's also my favorite season for camping food. On today's episode of Camp Griddlemore, we are going to make an elevated grilled cheese and tomato soup. It is simple but delicious. So let's get camping and let's get cooking. Fall is my favorite season for camping because of the perfect, cool, and crisp camping nights. And also because hot food straight off the Blackstone Griddle also just hits different, and because it's soup season. So we're gonna make an elevated grilled cheese, just a couple ingredients to kind of zhuzh it up a little bit. And we're also gonna use Campbell's tomato soup, but we're kind of gonna hack it a little bit. Also add 4 or 5 ingredients and make it taste like tomato soup from a restaurant. So let's get started. We need to do some basic veggie prep for our grilled cheese and tomato soup. So let's open up my 50-year-old cooler that's actually older than I am and grab them out and start slicing and dicing. We're gonna start by dicing up some jalapeños. We're gonna chiffonade some basil. I've already got the red onion pre-cut. I actually bought them pre-cut to save a little bit of time. Nothing wrong with doing that when you're camping. And then I'm actually gonna dice up some sun-dried tomatoes that are gonna go into our Campbell's tomato soup. And then I've got bacon bits here that we're gonna add to the grilled cheese sandwich. Now, obviously you could make bacon first, but I'm thinking of this more as a Friday night meal at the campground, and I want it to go fast and I wanna get everyone fed really quickly. I'm just using Pepperidge Farm Farmhouse whole wheat from right off the shelf at the grocery store, but I'm gonna elevate things a bit with my cheese. I'm not gonna use standard American cheese. I'm gonna use some sharp cheddar and some pepper jack together, which is gonna make a great combination. All right, so let's butter up our bread and let's spread some of the Tuscan Herb Seasoning onto the bread. This is gonna really help up these grilled cheese sandwiches. Looks good, smells good, and helps them taste really delicious. We're gonna keep our griddle on medium heat for this entire cook. If we keep it on medium heat, the griddle is like our playground and we can just do no wrong. We're not gonna burn anything. Let's throw down our jalapenos, our red onions, and our bacon bits, get them nicely browned before we put them on our sandwich. Let's fire up our side burner now and get our tomato soup simmering. We're gonna keep the side burner on low. One of the hacks I have here for using the Campbell's tomato soup is to use a can of the regular tomato soup and half a can of the spicy version, which, believe it or not, is really, really spicy. But if you do it 2 to 1, if you cut it 2 to 1, it makes a really, really nice mix. Once our jalapenos and onions and bacon bits are nicely browned, let's throw our bread down on the griddle top, add the sharp cheddar slices, let it overhang a little bit so you get that nice cheese skirting, and then you're gonna add the mash onto the sandwich and then top it with the pepper jack and the other slice of the bread. Then it's probably gonna be just about ready for a quick flip, and then we're gonna use that Blackstone basting dome once again to help us get the perfect melt on our cheese. All right, let's take a peek at our grilled cheese and see how it's doing, and it is looking perfect. So let's pull it off the griddle and slice it diagonally so that it is perfect for dipping into our tomato soup. Our tomato soup is also ready to go. So let's pour this into a bowl and add our secret ingredients to the soup. We're just gonna put in a small handful of croutons, the chiffonaded basil, a little scoop of the chopped up sun-dried tomatoes, and a little splash of cream. And now that I look at this, I could have used another whole can of the tomato soup. Those are pretty small cans. So next time I'll add more, even though this one's just for me. All right, Camp Griddlemore, fall is in the air. There are acorns falling all around us, and it's time to dive into our grilled cheese and tomato soup. Our goal was a simple one. We wanted to elevate a classic campground meal. So let's start with the grilled cheese and take a bite. It looks good. I know it looks good and it smells good. Let's see how it tastes. The first thing that hits me is that Tuscan Herb Seasoning on the bread. That right there is a simple game changer that elevates the sandwich. Works really, really well on the grilled cheese. The pepper jack cheese and the sharp cheddar complement each other perfectly. Like, I don't want to go back to a simple American cheese grilled cheese sandwich. This is going to be my go-to from now on. Sharp cheddar and pepper jack for the win. I also really do love that little mashup we did with the jalapenos and the bacon bits and the red onion. Part of the secret there is to brown them really nicely and soften them so you don't get too much crunch on the onions, at least for me anyway, but that also adds just an entire extra level of flavor. I'm giving this grilled cheese an A+. This is a really solid grilled cheese, and in fact, this this is gonna become my go-to at the campground for grilled cheese. This is gonna be our house version of the grilled cheese sandwich moving forward. Now let's dive in and try our soup. And remember, this is Campbell's tomato soup from a can. And we just tried to elevate it a little bit by adding some basil and adding some chopped up sun-dried tomatoes and croutons and a little splash of cream. So let's see how we did with the tomato soup out of the can. That is actually so good. That is better than I thought it would be. The secret ingredient here to really jack up this tomato soup from the can are the little chopped up bits of the sun-dried tomatoes. They give it more texture and they make it taste more like a homemade tomato soup, even though it's not. So look, you can take a can of Campbell's tomato soup and elevate it very simply at the campground and make it delicious. No one will even know it's from a can.
Now you gotta do the dip.
Gotta do the dip. So I'm going A+ on the grilled cheese sandwich. I'm going B+, A- on the soup, like a solid B+ on the soup. And I really mean that. Not perfect, but pretty darn good considering it's from a can. But now we've got to do the all-important dip and see how they go together. And I want to get some of that basil on here. The dip just harmonizes everything. The dip brings it all together. This works perfectly for the campground, particularly for one of those Friday nights when you show up late and you got to get everyone fed and fed quickly. I think this could be a new go-to right up there with smash burgers.
Perfect fall meal too.
Yeah, this is like a perfect fall meal. The hot soup, the ooey gooey grilled cheese. This is a staple for our family when we camp in the fall because everyone loves tomato soup in my family, thankfully. This came together really, really nicely. Super fast, super easy. Could be your next campground staple for fall camping. Thank you everybody for joining us for this week's episode of Camp Griddlemore. I hope this is another great camping meal that you can add to your rotation, particularly on those cool fall nights, on those cool fall camping trips. This is perfect for a Friday night at the campground. You've got to get everyone fed and get them fed fast. So we'll see you next time on your next fall camping trip. See you at the campground, everybody.